Hi, and welcome to the last session in this track for this virtual conference. I've certainly enjoyed hosting you all. Excuse me. And as normal, you are muted. I will unmute you or allow you to unmute yourselves at the end if you've got questions. But you can put questions into the chat as we go along. Ash is doing most of the hosting of this particular one, and Dan will be looking out for questions in the chat and handling the move forward with the slides. So I hope you'll enjoy what you're about to hear. You'll find it informative. And Dan and Ash, over to you.
Yep, thanks, Anna. For folks that joined us on the previous session to learn about everything that we're doing with OMEGAMON and integrating data to enterprise observability solutions, some machine learning solutions, and a sneak peek at our new user interface. Thanks for joining. With this one, we're going to take a deeper dive into all of the enhancements that we've done really across everything that we're doing across the OMEGAMON agents. So let me jump into what we're going to cover. We have an awful lot of information. The development team is fantastic about building new content extensively and pushing that out every couple of months. So I'll give a quick introduction, and then we'll talk about ZOS, DB2, Kicks, messaging, JVM. I'll just mention what we're doing with the new UI, and then again leave some chances for questions, hopefully. Just quickly on where OMEGAMON fits into everything that we're doing with AIOps on IBM Z. It is really a core part of everything that we're doing around observability. If we think about what observability is, bringing metrics, logs, and trace to help understand how a system's behaving. OMEGAMON is the core part of our metrics part of that story. So not only is OMEGAMON our core monitor, but the data that we get out of OMEGAMON is widely used across a lot of the different initiatives that we're doing across IBM Z in terms of observability. We also are quite focused on optimization and availability, making sure that our systems perform as optimized as possible, and then starting to leverage generative and agentic AI really to make very experienced mainframers much more productive, but also make the platform much more approachable for those that may be new to Z. So let's start with a lot of the core enhancements that we've done with the OMEGAMON. So the first one that we covered pretty deep in the last session is OMEGAMON Data Provider. And this is our way to stream all of the 18,000 metrics that we generate from OMEGAMON to a variety of enterprise observability solutions. So it could be Elasticsearch, Splunk, Kafka, Grafana, a number of different ways that we can stream all of the data. Dynatrace is another one that we always get questions on. And we can do this across all of the different subsystems that we support. We do support streaming data both in a JSON format, but what we started delivering at the end of last year in November was streaming OMEGAMON data in an OpenTelemetry format. And hopefully folks have seen about OpenTelemetry. It's really the new standard on a way to provide data to enterprise observability platforms. So it's more new to Z than new across the enterprise infrastructure. It's actually been around for quite a while, but IBM is helping to lead the effort within the open mainframe community to really standardize how we stream metrics, or what we name the metrics that we stream out to those enterprise observability solutions. So I did want to mention, at least in this session as well, the support we've added for being able to stream OMEGAMON in an OpenTelemetry format. This is just a quick view of what OpenTelemetry looks like. I know it is new for a number of different folks. So we'll have this chart in the deck here for reference. The other way that we can get access to operational data from OMEGAMON is through our REST API client. This is going to be critically important for us as I talk a little bit about what we're doing with the OMEGAMON interfaces. Today, the REST API is only available if you're running your hubtems on ZOS. Definitely something that we're looking at adding additional support for our distributed hubtems or Linux on Z hubtems clients that we can add support for that as well. And then using OMEGAMON data, we covered this a little bit for some of our AI and machine learning use cases. And it's really about how we can be more proactive in identifying IT operations issues. So ever since the OMEGAMONs were created, and in fact, most monitoring solutions were really built about identifying a static threshold that we create monitors to see if we cross those thresholds. So it could be looking at CPU or any of the other metrics that we have across the OMEGAMONs. And historically, these static thresholds were really set by one in two different ways. The first one is something bad happened in your environment in the past, and you want to go now and if we get close to that, and let's say it's CPU, we want to generate an event or an alert. The other way that these are most commonly set is our clients just know their environment so well, they kind of know where they want to monitor and tune to. But the idea behind using machine learning is that we can use historical data to understand what's normal in our environments and then start to look at when we start trending or deviating away from normal or something that we would consider an anomaly. And coupling anomaly detection with real-time monitoring really helps our clients identify and proactively address potential issues. So the use case that I try to cover is a banking application that may make an application change or infrastructure upgrade on a Friday evening between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So they would typically go through and apply all of the different changes to their environments, do a sniff test, and then bring those systems back online. But let's say Saturday morning, we start seeing resource consumption increase. If we were just dependent on a static threshold, we may not notify or be notified of an issue until Monday morning when all of our normal workload comes back to the environment. By then we're in panic mode and it's a bit too late and we're in that firefighting mode to restore service. But what if on Saturday morning we were notified of an anomaly that we were starting to see an increase in resource consumption that was abnormal? We would have an awful lot of extra time to identify and understand what's going on and maybe make a longer term or more lasting fix to the environment such that when users come back on Monday, we don't have that critical issue. And that's the whole premise behind machine learning and applying machine learning for the purpose of anomaly detection. So we've done that within the OMEGAMONs for very specific use cases. So one of the first ones that we worked with one of our clients for was to look at identifying abnormal MSU consumption. So just like the previous example that I gave, they did a subsystem upgrade to one of their environments. And for a period of 3 weeks, they had abnormal MSU consumption going on in their environment. And in the end, they found this and were able to make the changes. But in the end, it cost them around 60K euros because they were running around 100 plus MSU extra per day. So it had a real business cost in this case. So by using the machine learning and anomaly detection, this is an example of one of the kind of problems that we can identify sooner and generate an event. So we get that cost avoidance and immediate return on investment and starting to use these machine learning and AI solutions. So just a couple examples of use cases that we've already built in to the OMEGAMONs. The sets of OMEGAMON agents that we've built cover ZOS networks, JVM, CICS, and storage. So I briefly mentioned the MSU consumption use case. One of these cases for JVM is abnormal garbage collection. So we want to make sure that all of our Java is running efficiently. OMEGAMON AI for networks, making sure that we don't have abnormal data movement across the infrastructure. And then CICS, making sure that we don't have abnormal transaction response time, really looking at our transactional workload. So a lot of different use cases that I covered a bit more in the last session on how we're using machine learning across the OMEGAMONs. So again, this really does go hand in hand with the situations that we have. So the AI Insights is looking at specific problems again. So identifying abnormal response time in CICS, abnormal MSU consumption, where the static thresholds that we have are still rule-based that our clients go and identify. So pulling these together really give our clients a really powerful way to go and monitor their environments. So with that, let me go ahead and turn it over to Ash to talk through our configuration manager. It's still critical of importance for our clients to adopt this if they haven't just yet, but also to go then into all of the different agent use cases.
All right, thanks, Dan. And thank you all for joining. If you do have questions, please do add them to the chat. Dan will observe and will be able to respond. If not, we can answer the questions live. Okay, so apologies up front. There's a lot of slides coming now, and because there's been a lot of innovation over the last 12 months, and we wanted to share as much as we could, because many clients do not attend live events or face-to-face events. So we want this we have an opportunity with this virtual event to share as much as we can. And so one of the things that Dan mentioned earlier is simplified mainframe operations. What we're trying to do for our IT teams with monitoring is the ability to deploy the products quickly as possible to get up and running and monitor your live data or live systems. So OMEGAMON configuration monitor configuration manager was created in response to many client concerns, issues with the deployment of the agents. And so we met with multiple clients and had design thinking sessions with them. And within a month or so, I would say a few weeks, we managed to get a prototype ready for those clients to test and validate against their current use cases. And Configuration Manager has been an absolute success. And why? Because we've said, right, there's too many panels you have to go through the PalmGen process, the previous option. And it's still customers still use PalmGen, but we encourage them to move to Configuration Manager because this is a simplified batch process where you will just submit really 3 jobs and you can get your runtime environment configured and deployed within a matter of minutes to hours rather than weeks. We had a client, I met a client last week, and I asked them, because they were one of our key sponsor users. I asked them, okay, what's the difference from the time when we met with PalmGen, your standard PalmGen configuration, to now as you move to Configuration Manager? They said the first meeting we had where they explained the display how they used PalmGen, it took them 40 hours to do 1 ALPA. At that meeting, one of our experts said, okay, you can do some fine-tuning in your PalmGen configuration for DB2. And they took that on board and they moved and just simple parameter change, they moved from 40 hours to 20 hours. So they dropped it by half. But then when we developed and provided them Configuration Manager, that 20 hour per ALPA, they said it takes them a minute or 2. That's the major difference from 40 hours per alpha down to minutes. And this is a live example from a client, a real example from a client, a banking client. So, the success of Configuration Manager just speaks volumes when you listen to our clients when they've moved from PalmGen to Configuration Managers. Like I said, it's a simplified batch job. You would create the work files. There's a discover option. That discover option you can run, or the job step you can run on each individual ALPA. That discover process or program will discover all of your configuration items, what's running on those LPARs, and create a book. And that book then is imported into Configuration Manager, and you just run the generate job, and that generate job will import all of those configurations and translate them into your runtime, your actual agent configuration. And there you go. You've generated your runtime, and what you just need to do is the post deployment steps like update PalmLib, proclib, and so on. But we give you samples for those as well. So you can just see just from the simple steps, actions we call them, you can get your runtime, your OMEGAMON runtime deployed within minutes now. And we've seen many clients tell us how the simplification from Configuration Manager has helped them go down to the ease of deployment of the agents. On the next slide, please, Dan. There's an example here. So this is actually another example from a client in Sweden, Svenska Handelsbanken. They were also vocal about PalmGen. It was a process that they weren't really happy with, but it was part of the configuration of OMEGAMONs at the time. And when they heard about Configuration Manager, they happily jumped on it, and they've actually incorporated Configuration Manager into their own deployment process, into an IPL process. So they use Workload Scheduler to do the pre-configuration steps on each LPAR, and then the IPL the system. Workload Scheduler will then start and then do the post-config changes in batch, as I showed you on the previous screen. And they can deploy their agents updates within a IPL slot. And the great thing about this, the way they do it, is they can deploy new maintenance RSU levels within weeks. So I know some clients, they have to schedule maintenance over the year. Soon as I released a new version of an agent, or rather we released a new version of agent, OMEGAMON AI for JVM, it was in their production environment within, I think it said 4 weeks. They actually pushed them out quite rapidly, and so I know that's another example how customers are deploying their agents automatically now and trying to be hands off with Workload Scheduler. And so I encourage you to have a look at the Configuration Manager if you haven't. Any feedback is absolutely welcome. And it's if you want to hear the recording of the video of the testimonial from Thomas Ulfason, who is from the bank, I can share that with you. And he explains how they actually deploy the agents using Workload Scheduler and which steps they have to add there. Okay. Next slide, please, Dan. So we're going to go into the individual agents, and I'll be mindful of the clock because we have 45 minutes. Okay, so we'll go for the OMEGAMON AI for ZOS 6.1 agent, Fixpack 5 updates. So we do regularly release multiple Fixpacks throughout the year, and probably one agent upgrade or version change or release change per year on average. But Fixpacks do come out probably mostly about once a quarter. And we encourage you to look at those as well, register, because there's some great features that we add. So in Fixpack 5, which is listed here, we increase the zip offloading. So we have client feedback. Again, when we engage with the customers, when they explain to us how they deploy the agents, how they use the agents, they tell us how we can improve the agents as well, or the product. And one of the improvements that we hear from multiple clients is to utilize zip more and reduce the general CPU consumption. So you'll see this trend, this pattern throughout the OMEGAMONs going forward, especially with the 6.1 agents and future Fixpacks. You'll see a lot more of the work moved on to zip that's eligible for zip, and so you'll see a reduction in your overall general CPU consumption as well. So increased zip offloading. RMF, when RMF 3.1 came out, there's some more additional metrics in there, so we've added those to the OMEGAMON ZOS agent. And simplification of usability. So the 3070 UI is very popular with many of our clients. However, you have to jump around through workspaces to get somewhere. So we've made some great improvements in that usability process, where you can use bookmarking, and I'll show you some examples later. Bookmarking, and also we started to use tabs, so you don't have to jump from one workspace to another workspace. You can just remain in the same workspace and just change the context. And ZOS Container Platform support. So ZOS Container Platform is not to be mixed or confused with ZCX address spaces. So container extension address spaces. No, that's a separate addition to ZOS. But ZOS Container Platforms essentially is Kubernetes containers being deployed onto ZOS Unix system services. So JVMs can be deployed, JVM containers can be deployed directly to Unix system services using Kubernetes. So we've had clients, we've had client requests coming in that they will only deploy these kind of workloads, these new technologies onto ZOS if they can monitor it. So we've provided out of the box monitoring for the container platform support, but also ZCX, so container extension address space support as well. So next slide, please, Dan. And what you'll see is just screenshots of some of these examples. In this case, the increased zip offloading. So there's CPU intensive data collection that we've actually offloaded to zips. The two, I'll call them attribute groups, just address space CPU utilization, the collection of that, which runs every 2.3 seconds, is now offloaded to zip. And then real storage collection, data retrieval, that's now also offloaded to zip. So you will see straight out of the box the consumption drop, the CPU consumption drop essentially, and zip offloading increase when you move to the 6.1 with the FixPack 5. It's on by default, zip offloading. I'm not sure if customers would want to disable it unless you don't have that capacity. Of course, if you don't have any zips or the capacity is very low, then you may want to switch it off by default. Next slide, please. And so RMF currency, as I said earlier, so with RMF 3 reporting and 3.1, we can now look at, we can pull in dedicated memory details. And here you see an example. We got real storage utilization, as well as history and storage summary history in the 3070 UI, and as highlighted in white there. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned earlier, container platform indicates. So this is your containers that have been deployed through Kubernetes running on ZOS in Unix system services. So you can see the bottom right, you got we indicate now if it's a ZOS container address space, and the control plane appliance, which is the virtual appliance that runs on ZOS in address space that hosts the Kubernetes manager. And so that's so we will identify those for you out of the box when you move to this agent. And of course, we've also added another attribute, the job set CPU limit percentage. So if you want to know if a job is capped or it's got a limit, you can see that in the table as the screen shows there. Next slide, please. I better speed up because I've got tons of slides here. So in this example, tabbing. So you can, if you want to look at a sysplex level or coupling facility, we've now made the navigation very straightforward there. You can just click on the tabs and the tables will change rather than having to jump through different workspaces, right click and so on. Next slide, please.
Don't worry about overrunning. There is time.
Oh, that's fine. But I know there's how many slides there are. Okay. So OMEGAMON for DB2. So I'll give you a summary of the 2024 updates we delivered with our OMEGAMON DB2 product, and you'll see a general pattern, as I said earlier, is reducing CPU consumption, savings, making the product more efficient, so that you can tell your capacity teams that we're good with the OMEGAMON. So CPU battery porter CPU consumption reduction, saving roughly around 10% usage, which is great. Over 9 customer ideas have been delivered, and I'll give you a list of those in the next slide. You got our DB2 function levels. That there's 2 per year. 504 and 505 were out last year for DB2. And I think it's DB2 13. So we provide toleration and exploitation support for those. And then you've got some gaps. So quite a lot of our clients are still using the classic user interfaces, and we're trying to enhance the 3070 UI. Most of the enhancements will go into 3070 UI. We'll just apply toleration maintenance to the classic. So if you want to take advantage of the new features and functions from DB213, you'll have to move to the 3070 UI. So to help with bridging those gaps. So next slide, please. So here's a list of the AHA ideas that were delivered in 2024 even. And there's a couple of if kids, I was told that's how you pronounce it, IFCIDs, but if kids that were delivered around security, and we'll go into details around some of these ideas that were delivered. So next slide, please. So in this case, application trace facility is available in the classic. We've now ported the functionality into the 3070 UI. This is a gap that customers identified. So as you can see in this screen, you can call the application trace facility. You can set the filter criteria and to enable the application trace for DB2 thread. Next slide, please. And here in this slide, again, this was a AHA idea. It's an inhibitor for some of our customers who continue to use the classics. They wanted to be able to see the package and the package levels that are consumed or used by DB2. So we've now ported that also into the 3070 UI as shown in the screenshot here. You'll see the package names and the details around lapse times and so on for those packages. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 2 function level releases per year for DB213. So we've added some capabilities monitoring for the different function levels as listed here. And I mentioned the if kids 415, I think it is, and 416 are security related, and 417s for remote monitoring of your applications. So next slide, please. So in this screenshot, you can see here, gives you a great example of where we're investing for bridging those gaps between the classic and the 3070 UI. In fact, these were delivered. So if you look at the real-time thread displays, new in version 5.5. So if you have not already, if you're thinking of moving to DB213 this year, you will need to, and you want to monitor with OMEGAMON, you need to be on OMEGAMON version 5.5. So OMEGAMON DB2 PE 5.5 only monitors DB213. If you're on 5.4 of OMEGAMON DB2, you won't be able to monitor your DB213 from that agent version. So please do upgrade if you're looking to move to DB213, if not already. Okay, and so you can see, so everything. Sorry, I just want to on that slide. Sorry about that, Dan. So those highlighted in yellow, though they are the gaps that we've bridged in the 3070 UI. So these are the features or functions we've ported into the 3070 UI. So you can see there's been a lot of updates here with the DB2 5.5 agent. Next slide, please. Moving on to OMEGAMON AI for Kicks. There's been that agent version was released November of last year. Been some great improvements and updates in that agent, and also a fixback one. So I'll give you the slide detail, the fixback one details in the next slide. But here you can see one of the customer pain points, and we had multiple client requests come in for this, is the ability to store more in task history, more transactions in task history. The limit was 4 GB. So therefore, you could only store approximately 4.5 million transactions per region. However, if you've got a very busy Kicks region or regions, that can quite easily fill up, and then you're going to end up losing your older transactions as you're rotating. So what we have done with 6.1 is increase that or remove that limitation, and now you can go up to a maximum potential dataset size of 16 terabytes, which gives you, you could do the maths in your head. if we're talking 4.5 million, you can go into the, I won't say billions, but definitely hundreds of millions of transactions per region. That's increased the overall capacity of your task history. So that's a win for our customers. We've managed to do that with the 6.1 agent. So there's not much to do. When you move to 6.1, the data sets will be reformatted when you use a 6.1 agent. And if you don't move to this, the 16 terabyte size, or you haven't resized your task history, you can pause task history. That's another add-on we've put in, we've made available in 6.1. And when I say 6.1, that's OMEGAMON AI for Kick 6.1. So if you can pause, if you're doing some investigation and you don't want to see your task history rotate or fill up again, you can pause task history, and then you can go and search those transactions that you need to investigate and get more details on. And then obviously it's dynamic, so you can enable it again once you've finished, and task history will continue. There's been major performance enhancements, I should say, and processing task history is one of the high consumers of CPU. So we've moved much of that over to zip processing as well. So we've had client feedback. In fact, we've tested this within our own development environment, customer development environment, and the results have been fantastic. So we encourage you to provide us feedback if you've gone to 6.1 or moved to 6.1. Please give us feedback on what the findings or savings you've had with this offloading to zip. Service level analysis data collection is also now on zip or zip eligible. Currently, before 6.1 was general purpose processing. Next slide, please. So 6.1 Fixpack 1 was released, I think, just a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago. We've done some more changes around the average response time details at a Kixplex level and at a region level, and context and improved context command. So that actually was a customer requirement that came in, where customers said, I want to issue a command to read multiple regions before 6.1, or before Fixpack 1, should I say. You would have to go into each region and issue those commands. So now with this improved context command feature, you can actually group Kix regions together, and then when you issue a command, it will actually be pushed out to all of those Kix regions within that group. If you want to see task history across multiple Kix regions, you can also do that now. So it's quite powerful. In fact, I would say also very powerful with this update. Customers also wanted to see what tasks are what they're waiting on. So transaction rates, for example, have been added. And there was a couple of aha ideas where clients ask for enhancements. There is a requirement to view SIT parameters in the 3070 UI and the global options. So they've been added in workspaces as well. And customers wanted to be able to enable OMEGAMON in the CPSM, CMAS regions. And to note to the last bullet, new Java certificate. So all of the OMEGAMON agents, if you're using the Tivoli Enterprise Portal Server, especially, also the TEP graphical user interface, the Java certificates will expire in August. So we have released a pass for each of our agents to update the jar files with the latest signed certificates. So I encourage you, if you are using the TEP, please apply the latest maintenance for your agents so that you do not have a TEP user interface not displaying. In fact, you won't be able to log on to the TEP. If the certificates are expired, you'll get a warning message. So you want to avoid that. Next slide, please. So just some example screenshots. So we'll go quickly through these. So like I said, transaction timings. Here you can see the wait, active, and we can go into detail. So about the transactions, and you can see the screenshots there. You can see where they're waiting or where most of the time was spent. And if you look at the active screenshot at the bottom, you can see where the elapsed times were. And also you can see now a less fancy colorful graph or bar chart next to it. Next slide, please. And prior task details. So this was actually, we had some great feedback from clients recently about this this update. So customers would like to see where the previous transaction came from, or where and if it came from a different region, they would like to see details about the previous region. So we've added this origin data, previous hop data, and previous task data as described on the screen. Origin data, so the task was identified as a new point of origin for the within Kix, and the previous hop. So if it came from another Kix region, you get context about that Kix region. And if the task was started by a previous task, we give in the same region, we'll give you details about the previous task as well. Next slide, please. So average response times, as I said, made some changes to the average response time. So if you look at a region level where OMEGAMON's installed, so we'll give you an updated, and there's more, I think there's the calculation is more accurate for the transaction rate and average response times. And the rates will be calculated from the start of the prior minute. So these are minute per minute updates rather than from when the region started, which can be quite confusing. Okay, next region, please. Sorry, next slide, please, Dan. Thank you. So if you select one of those regions, you can drill down and you can see where what the average response time was over the last history hour, I guess, in this case. And you can see, and then if you want to drill down further to see, okay, quite a lot of the response time was at 11:47. The next slide, I think I go into that slide and show you what it was doing. Next slide, please, Dan. Okay, I didn't. Okay, so you'll get more details about that. Improved command context as context command even. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to issue commands or even just look at transactions or history for a group of regions, you can now select the context, excuse me, by entering C. And you can see the panel shown, the context type, if it's at a Kixplex level or LPAR level, and then it gives you the scope underneath. And then you select which regions you want to actually be in that scope. So next slide, please, Dan. So in the case, so if once you've chosen the scope, then you can issue a command against that group, I'll call it. And in that case, H for history, I want to see the history context for all of those regions. I want to see the region summary, or I want to see the task history or task summary. And you can issue commands against that as well. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, the transaction weight. So if you look at the bottom screen there, we highlight now what the weight type is. So we're in a transaction that what that transaction's rating on, and if it's NQ or MRO. NQ, sorry. Next slide, please. Again, this was a hard idea. So here in this example, you can see the sit details or parameters and anything that's highlighted white. So you can see in the screenshot, control profile, I think it's here is control profile name. It says none, but you can see the CSD dataset name. It's truncated. If you just put your mouse cursor on that and press enter, a pop-up will come. It will display the actual full name of that dataset. So don't be alarmed if it's just truncated. You can actually see more details by just selecting that attribute or value. Next slide, please. And on the global level, so again, another aha idea from a client. So we display the most important global options that we believe that clients would like to see in the 3070 UI. When you do apply this fix pack, please let us know if there's anything missing. Just open aha idea and the team will look at that. But we had to try and balance what we could deliver in fix pack 1 based on the idea from the client. Again, anything that's highlighted white, you can click on that and go into more details. Next slide, please. Messaging. Okay, so OMEGAMON for messaging is our MQ broker monitor on ZOS. And with Fixpack 8, we've added some great new features. So I think with the latest versions of MQ, you can cut SMF records 115, and Q statistics was details that we didn't have full exposure on. So with 115, we can now, SMF 115, we can pull those additional attributes into OMEGAMON for messaging. And there's some great context in there around the actual queue statistics. Next slide, please. I think I might have shown it on the next one. Okay, so maybe it did. So on this slide, and this is one of the things I've been asking for multiple years, I would say, as product management. They do listen to me occasionally, development that is. I wanted to see more administration functions in the 30th UI. If you use the TEP today, you can edit parameters, you can create queues, you can change values in a queue, or create, like I said, a copy a queue. You can do that in the 30th UI today. I wanted to see something more similar to that in the 30th UI, because not every client was going to use the TEP for obvious reasons like Java restrictions and so on. So as you can see here, you can now alter a queue manager. If you look at the top left, so that's editing a queue manager. If you look at the bottom left screenshot, you can actually also back up your queue manager from this from the panel. And if you see the example there, you can issue an MQSC command to the agent, which will then initiate that action in the queue manager. So you can do that through the one user interface here. And in the two screenshots on the right, the top one, you can see that we're actually creating a queue. But you can create a queue based on an existing queue. So you can define, like, say you have a queue that's already there. You want to change, you want to create another one similar to that, using the same, use it as a template. You can create a queue based on an existing one, and then change parameters like queue max, queue depth, and so on as you wish. And similarly with the channels, you can create a new channel and copy an existing one if needed. Next slide, please. Okay, bookmarking. I think I briefly mentioned the bookmarking, but in this slide you can see, and this is available to, I think, all agents now in the 30th UI. Multiple workspaces have been updated for all of our agents so that you can bookmark them. What does that mean? Essentially, if you have a favorite workspace in 30th UI and it takes a while to drill down to it, you can actually bookmark the target workspace and say, in this case, I want to bookmark the queue statistics for a specific queue. And so you just say, okay, type bookmark, and or book, I think you can do, but bookmark. And then the middle left screen, you could see a screenshot. You can see I've called it watch queue, and I associate it to my user ID, enter, done. So I can now navigate away, maybe go into Kix workspaces or JVM. Oh, okay, actually, I want to have a go and have a look at the MQ because it's connected to this queue manager. Sorry, this Kix region. I can just now type watch queue on the command line, and it will jump directly to the workspace that I want to go and see and the details of that queue. So it's pretty fast. So it's quick navigation, and you'll see that with, like I said, with all of the agents. So ZeroS agent, DB2 agent, IMS, Kix, they all have their own bookmarkable workspaces. Not every workspace is bookmarkable, I would say. So if you see the top left screenshot, you got KMMQESD, which is under the command. That's got a green B in brackets, essentially saying or identifying this workspace is bookmarkable. Okay, next slide, please. I'll probably have it in another slide somewhere. So other Fixpack 8 updates, and our idea that came from another client was to have more details about the RBA, so relative byte address details. They wanted to be able to see how much of that RBA is being used, so they can create a situational alert. So if it goes over a certain threshold, they want to be able to be alerted on it. They've had an outage in the past, and that's why they wanted to capture RBA details, and we've delivered that with Fixpack 8, and they're very, very pleased about that. And you'll notice most of our agents, we will write Waters messages now as agent starts. So you can trap those messages with system automation to understand if that agent is up and running. So this will help with your IPLs, and also help with making sure that your agents are all connected without having to log on to the user screen, the UIs. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, JVM, almost there on the agents. So OMEGAMON AI for JVM. Fixpack 1 was released last year. We do have another fixpack on the next screen I'll show you. But on this screen, you'll see that ZOS Connect enhancement. So if you are deploying APIs in ZOS Connect on your LPARs, from day one, we've been providing API metrics in OMEGAMON for JVM. We've enhanced that over the years, and we now have API execution rates in there. We provided a version of the API and other header details in the API requester and so on. And we've improved the garbage collection metrics, being more accurate and give you how many threads a garbage collector is using. And also details about the CPU of your JVM consumption and container platform support. As I mentioned earlier, you can deploy ZOS Connect with APIs through Kubernetes onto ZOS in Unix system services. So customers said, okay, we can do that. We want to be able to monitor it. Next slide, please. Fixpack 3, this came out just about a month ago. And with that Fixpack, we have introduced Web3 application server application monitoring, I'll call it, because customers want to be able to understand which JSPs are used, what the thread pool statistics are, and so on. So we've added those, pulling the data through PMI, which is available interface in the Web3 application server. So examples are application statistics, JCA connection pools, EJBs if you have EJBs deployed, JDBC connection pools, thread pools, and web services. And we also, and as a big enhancement requirement from multiple of our banking clients, when they've got ZOS Connect deployed and they've got APIs that cross multiple LPARs, so we'll call it API cluster. We want to be able to have a higher level view of all of the APIs across the enterprise. So we've provided a workspace based on those requirements. Next slide, please. In this example, you can see that just about if you look at the screenshots, top right, you've got the rates now, the max rates, execution rates, as I mentioned, and yeah, the execution rates at the bottom there, and you could actually quickly set events or situations if you see a lot of errors coming through, and so this will help to identify any APIs that are causing a problem for the overall enterprise. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, we now provide, and this again, a banking customer requested, they want to be able to see these additional response headers, so they can determine if the context is correct. Next slide, please. Especially for debugging. And as I mentioned, CPU details have been improved or made more accurate, especially for pause times. And then as highlighted, encircled, should I say, last garbage collection thread count. So how many threads are allocated through threads are allocated for garbage collection. Next slide, please. So this slide is not a great graphic, but it's not clear, should I say, but it's the ZOS Connect API provider cluster view. So this will give you an overview of all of your APIs across the enterprise over the multiple LPARs and give you a quick overview of your performance on the APIs. So if there's a lot of errors, as you can see, there's a high number of errors going on because this is a development screenshot. So there's going to be that they're going to have a lot of errors. But if it's in production, you obviously don't want to have multiple errors, or you don't want to see that column in red. But you can quickly see which LPARs, which APIs, which ZOS Connect JVMs are contributing to those error list. Thank you. Next slide, please. As pulled from PMI metrics, as I mentioned earlier, you got WebSphere applications statistics. So in this case, you see servlets, JSPs, consumption, how many times they were called, average response time. So it gives you a quick overview of the performance of the requests that are being called in that JVM application. Next slide, please. And similarly, if you have EJBs, you can break down, and as you can see, the metrics, methods called, etc., average response time for the methods, and so on in this example. Next slide, please. and JDBC connection pool. So you want to be able to monitor if your JDBC connections are growing, and of course, if the allocation, the pool size is shrinking, or free pool size is shrinking, you want to be able to track that. And if you do not have that alerting in place, you may find one day that the pools are maxed out because they might be multiple connections or maybe hangs, and you want to be able to connect, at least raise an alert for that. So customers who I've spoken to, percent used is very key for them, and free pool size is also a very key attribute for them to manage their environment. Next slide, please. Threads pool statistics, similarly, pool size, active time, but counts are very important for their clients, and percent used as an attribute to monitor your activity for threads. Thank you. Next slide, please. So that was a quick overview. I would say there's so many other information or details we could share, but we'll need about 3 hours. So that's the agent side of things, the fixed packs we released, and new versions over the last 12 months. So I'm going to pass the microphone back over to Dan.
Yep, thanks, Ash. So it's a funny story. When we were preparing the presentation today, we had a number of slides, and that says, well, we have 3 more fixed packs that we released. I want to add some more slides. So it's just a good testament to the great feedback that we get from clients and what our development team is able to deliver to help solve some of the challenges. I did want to touch on one thing that we covered in the previous session, just for folks that didn't attend. We did put out a statement of direction this past November when we released our OMEGAMON CICS and storage agents for AI, that we do plan on delivering a new interface for OMEGAMON to include highly configurable dashboards, be able to run not only the managing OMEGAMON situations, but also run on Z. And largely where that's driven from is, if we think about, and Ash kind of alluded to this today, we have 5 different interfaces that our clients use today, from the Classic to the E3270, the Tivoli Enterprise Portal, which does require Java and has a challenge for some of our clients because of that, to the Zoe Service Management Explorer and the integrated UI with Service Management Unite across System Automation and NetView. The challenge we have is none of these UIs can do everything comprehensively, that we often have to use a couple of different interfaces. So we want to go and solve that problem also as part of a modernization effort. So one of the things that we're looking at doing is delivering a new interface that is based on Grafana. And the reason we chose Grafana is we have an awful lot of clients that are already using this today, taking data from OMEGAMON data provider. So we wanted to go down that path and allow our clients to manage and look at everything that we get from Grafana. And there's a number of reasons why we chose it. One, just the pervasiveness that our clients are already using, which also means that there's an awful lot of Grafana skill that's out in the industry. The other thing is this allows us to build very comprehensive dashboards, not only within our subsystems, but even providing cross subsystem views, as we can see here, covering ZOS, Kix, DB2. So this really allows us to do a lot of unique things and be more efficient as well. So today we have, in a number of cases, a number of different workspaces that can be represented by one Grafana dashboard. So definitely something that we're excited about and be sure to look out for. So I already kind of covered on why we're doing Grafana, as I picked on that slide. I do want to kind of close on some of the lifecycle updates that we have. And now that we're actually sitting here on May 1st, a couple of these new ones have reached their end of support. So some of the older service management suites and monitoring suites were out of support towards the end of last year. Recently, the OMEGAMON for Kix 5.5, JVM version 5, now that we have the OMEGAMON AI agents out. Storage and, older versions of monitoring suite and service management suites are about to come out of support later in this year. We did have some new solutions that were announced towards end of last year. And for clients that do want to take advantage of some of the latest features, we are able to do migrations between the standalone OMEGAMON AI for ZOS 6.1 and networks to get clients to those, as well as the latest versions of service management suite. So if you're on some of the older standalone ZOS network agents or service management suite version 1, we do need to do some work to update your license entitlements so that we can get the newest and latest greatest features from ShopZ. It's important just to mention that, especially as Ash covered an awful lot of details around that. Lastly, I just invite everyone, to continue to participate with us on our OMEGAMON journey. We have a great user community. We're planning another in-person customer advisory council as the part of Tech Exchange, the beginning part of that. We do have a beta going on for the new Grafana-based UI that I mentioned, and we are planning a number of regional events across Europe this year where we can get the Rocket and IBM and OMEGAMON communities all together. So I think the first sets are planned in Italy in June, looking at Spain and Germany and some of the other areas across Europe as well. But it's just a great way to hear about everything that we're doing, share ideas, and meet our technical experts as well. So we're always happy to meet with our clients and understand pain points, because that's what really drives a lot of the innovation that we're doing. So this session, the GSE feedback session, this was session 6S. So please do fill out the feedback. I do appreciate everyone spending a little bit of extra time with us today. And with that, Anna, I didn't see any questions come in the chat, but if you want to pop it open real quick to see if there's any questions from the group before we close for today.
Yep. So I have set it up so that you may unmute yourself if you wish to talk to Ash or Dan.
Nope, it seems like no messages.
Nobody yet. I will say for the in-person sessions in November, I'll make sure that they have at least 3 sessions, so that they
Now
they
you know,
can
Anna.
breathe between words. And I'm sure there'll be more stuff to talk about over the next over the months in between now and then. Where are we? 6 more months,
Yeah.
and it appears that changes are coming thick and fast. So I think it would be good to make sure that we have a little longer time so that people can breathe as they ingest all the data that's coming out.
There is a lot there, yeah.
There is. And considering that until I asked you if you wanted a second session, you were going to do it all in one.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Especially for those who
Always.
stayed on to listen.
Yes, I do. I also appreciate that. Well, in general, we kind of have an allowance of 15 minutes at the end for discussion and what have you. So so that you get like an hour, but not really. If there was another session, I'd be asking you to jump away now, because I'd have to start setting up for the next one. But as it is, there's no further session. I hope those of you that are still here with us have enjoyed the virtual conference this year. We do appreciate any feedback you can provide, and we do use it. We honestly do. There will be a meeting in a month or so's time to go through all our feelings about the virtual before we start planning the in-person, at which I expect or hope to see you all again. So with that, it just remains to thank Dan and Ash for squeezing it all in. And, we'll see you, I hope, in November. So thank you very much, guys.
Yep, and
Thank
thank
you.
you to you for hosting all of the sessions all week. I know it's a big time commitment that you donate to the broader community.
Yes, yeah, there's all the building of the agenda and finding the sessions and everything else. So it is, I must admit, it is quite a bit of work, but
Thank you.
it's good. It's fun. It's enjoyable. So even after I've retired, I'll probably still be doing it. So
Good. Thank you.
see you soon. Well, 6
Okay.
months.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Chat soon.
Bye
Bye.
now.